Some time ago, we published a story that received many visits and comments about it. As a result of that, a person wrote to our email telling us an experience of his life that really caught our attention. He is from Santiago de Chile and wanted to share his experience to avoid similar events. About 30 years ago, a couple had received a big surprise, an unpleasant surprise for them. Even though they had taken great care, the woman had become pregnant with their second child. In fact, the couple had not expected this, and it triggered a series of events that could have been avoided. You see, when they had that news, the woman named Isadora had the idea of having an abortion, and her husband obviously supported her. So they looked for a doctor who could do the job. They finally found one, but what he told her was even more unexpected. If the woman had an abortion, she would be putting her life at risk. The woman could not believe it. The birth of the couple's first child had not had any problems. It had been a very normal pregnancy, but in this second pregnancy, things were totally different. So for fear of damaging her health, the woman had no choice but to continue her pregnancy. It was something that she really did not want, but there was no other way. That was also the thought of her husband. After several months, the woman went to the hospital, and during the delivery, she presented a pelvic problem. Complications began to appear to the point that the doctors were struggling to save the woman's life and that of her child. They were almost certain that the little boy would not survive, but miraculously, after an emergency surgery, the child was born completely healthy, and it was a great joy for all the doctors and nurses in the maternity ward. However, there was someone who was not happy. The mother could not forgive her second son for all the torment he put her through in the months he was in her life and for taking her into the operating room. The attitude towards her second son was totally different from how she treated the first one. They did not even buy him a new crib, but used the crib of her first son named Vicente, which was new when he used it. That might be passable, but during his entire childhood, there were practically no new things for the second son named Agustin. The parents even tried to wash even Vicente's diapers so they could use them for Agustin. But obviously that didn't work. The diapers became unusable. Isidora felt that she could not take it anymore. Just by looking at this smiling baby, one could be attracted to tenderness, but not her. Just looking at him reminded her of that difficult birth. Agustin was a very calm boy, unlike his brother Vicente, who when he was younger cried every night or would not let himself put on his diaper. His parents had been very patient with him, however. For Agustin, they always argued about whose turn it was to go to calm him down. None of them wanted to do it. Time went by and Agustin was becoming a more and more calm and supportive child, while Vicente was a spoiled, sulky, and moody brat. If a toy broke, he immediately demanded a new one from his parents, while Agustin was very happy with his little broken cart without a wheel, which was obviously once his older brother's. In fact, all the toys belonged to Vicente, who was very greedy and did not want to share them even with his own brother. Agustin grew up believing that this was something normal. He even watched his older brother as he played in the yard. He wanted to accompany him. He loved him very much. As much as Vicente behaved badly with him, and even one day when the parents forbade him to eat some cakes for Christmas, Vicente did not pay attention and ate them, blaming Agustin later. Because of that, the younger brother was punished by his parents and had to be locked in his room for the whole afternoon. And not only that, but he had also been left without a present. Finally, it was time to go to school. Agustin would enter first grade and Vicente would enter third grade. In fact, the parents decided to buy a uniform and a new backpack for Vicente, while Agustin, a second-hand clothes bought for a few cents, and a backpack that a cousin was no longer using. Anyone looking at them would never have thought they were brothers. They looked very different. Agustin sympathized with all his classmates, and when he told him that Vicente was his older brother, nobody could believe him because Vicente was known as a problem child at school. And that is why he had very few friends, and those friends were not so good to say the least. One day, when Agustin came out of school, he saw his older brother with a group of classmates. That seemed strange to him since his brother should be at home. But he continued on his way. However, those boys who were with Vicente approached him and pushed him. making him fall in the mud. They were laughing at him. He was sad, but he still got up and continued on his way home. When he got home, he saw his brother sitting in the living room watching cartoons on TV. Then, at that moment, his mom came out of the kitchen, and when he saw him, she started yelling at him. "Now, did you have a fight or what? Take off your clothes right now. Can't you see you're going to dirty the whole house? Do you know how much me and your father spent on you? Why don't you take care of your clothes? Look at your brother. He's been in the house all this time. He's been quiet. And how come you are like this? Go to your room immediately and don't come down for lunch, let alone dinner." The older brother looked at what happened, gave a sigh, and then turned to watch TV. When night fell, Augustine saw Vicente go out the window of his room. He did not understand why he went out at that hour. Time went by and he did not arrive. And when it was midnight, he got worried, so he decided to wait for him. Finally, she saw how he arrived. Then she opened her bedroom door and went to his. "Brother, I was worried about you. Where did you go?" "That's not your problem," he answered to her. "I just want to ask you something," said Augustine. "Why did you let them hit me? I didn't do anything." "They wanted to hit you. I didn't want to get involved because I didn't want to get in trouble. It's your fault, not mine," said Vicente. Finally, before they each went to sleep, Augustine said, "I just want you to be my friend, not my enemy. Good night." When he was 16, Vicente started smoking and always smelled of tobacco, but his parents turned a blind eye. He had grown brazen and showed respect for no one. In fact, the whole neighborhood and school knew him, but not for good things. One day, Vicente saw Augustine with a very pretty girl named Emilia. He liked her from the beginning and didn't care that his younger brother was actually in love with her. In fact, even though they were both dating, Vicente got into a relationship and managed to separate them. Soon, he would start dating her, and even though one day Augustine warned her that he did not suit her and that he would surely not respect her, the girl did not believe him and did not pay attention to him. However, he behaved like a scoundrel. Vicente even went out with other girls behind her back. Augustine knew it could be worse, but he never said anything to Emilia again, not even to his brother. He only hoped that one day he would be able to respect her as she deserved. Augustine had to go on with his life even if he was heartbroken. On the other hand, he focused more on school. He had become a respectful boy with very good grades and always helped those who needed it most. Without a doubt, they were very different. After entering college on scholarship, Augustine also wanted to work while studying. So he moved into an apartment. Obviously, the parents did not even realize that their youngest son was no longer at home. When he received his first salary, Augustine went to buy new clothes, shoes, food, and other things he needed. For the first time in his life, he knew how it felt to have something new. He was very happy to have his own things. Meanwhile, Emilia was getting farther and farther away from her parents and friends. Since Vicente considered that having him, she had everything and didn't need anyone else. One day, Augustine met her and asked her how she was doing with her brother, but she just kept silent. She stopped being that positive and smiling girl, and she even looked very finished at her 18 years old. A year later, Emilia became pregnant, and on the day of her delivery, Vicente called her younger brother to tell him that he was drunk with joy, but that he had spent the money for the baby's things, so he asked him for a loan. He also told him that he would be at the hospital in a few hours. So Augustine left for the hospital. His parents were there too. However, his brother still did not arrive. So he tried to contact him, but he did not answer. Time was passing. He should have arrived by now. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was no news of Vicente. No one was able to sleep that night, only little Lucia in the hospital crib. At 4 in the morning, Isidora, Vicente and Augustine's mother, received a call from an unknown number. She answered, and after a few seconds, she dropped the cell phone and hugged her husband, crying. Then Augustine took the phone and asked what happened. That is how he found out that his brother had suffered an accident and did not survive. Augustine could not believe it and could not bear to cry either. Maybe he was not the best person, but Vicente was his brother, and he always loved him. Unfortunately, Vicente chose his path. as he was a drunk driver. Augustine finally finished college with honors, although he should be happy he was not. He missed his brother too much. After a while, he got a better job. It wasn't the best paid, but it didn't lack anything either. 2 years after Vicente's funeral, Augustine continued to help Emilia with the baby. He also helped her get a job, and the two became good friends. Finally, Augustine still continued to love her. The truth is that he had never stopped thinking about her. So he decided that a girl should not live without a father. So he proposed to Emilia to come back to him and then marry her. And after 5 years, they both got married. On the other hand, Augustine proposed to his parents to go live with him to take care of them in their old age. But they did not accept, so they stayed in their usual house. However, Augustine sends them money and visits them constantly, and that is how it ended. Augustine wanted to share his heartbreaking story to avoid similar events, because perhaps this could have been avoided. Not making preferences, this calls us to reflect that we must love and educate our children equally. I hope this video has helped you. If so, do not hesitate to give us a thumbs up, comment, and share. My name is Gustavo Valles. Thank you very much for watching. By the way, I invite you to subscribe to this channel if you're not already and activate the little bell notifications to receive the latest we upload. See you next time.